the F for flow, hopefully you already know how to get into a flow state, but the way that psychologists define it is being in a state of consciousness where you've expanded your consciousness beyond the ego. Usually the ego takes a back seat or is quiet. That little voice in the head shuts up. You become one with a task or one with the universe. And you're in a state where things feel like they flow naturally and smoothly one to the next. You may be exerting some effort. We see this with athletes and with artists and musicians. You are using your skills artfully or skillfully, but you're in a state of flow or being in the zone, or as jazz musicians call it, being in the pocket. And the best way for you to really make sure that you're bringing in flow, I highly recommend, there's a book called The Rise of Superman and another book called Stealing Fire by Stephen Kotler. He's one of these flow hackers, he and his partner Jamie Wheel from the Flow Genome Project. One of the things that Stephen is always quoting, this McKinsey study that found that executives who work in the flow state are 5 times more productive than when they aren't in the flow state at work. And so the emphasis is on, we're not talking 5% better, we're talking 500% better. So imagine the work that you get done in a 5-day work week, for example, all the work that you get done in 1 week. Imagine if you got all that done in 1 single day, right? Well, that's what the studies showed, that when you work in a flow state, you are more productive and you are more creative. And so one of the things that you'll hear about from Stephen's work is and Jamie, they've identified flow triggers. Now, Csikszentmihalyi, who wrote the book on flow many, many years ago, listed just a handful of flow triggers. Jamie and Stephen have now gotten them over 12 or 13. But one of the things that you want to do is identify your own flow triggers. What gets you into that state? One of the easiest ones is making sure that you're working in chunks of time. So my daughter loves the Pomodoro technique. She sets these timers where you're working in 20 or 30-minute increments, and then you take a break. And you're just focused on that one activity, which allows the brain to be in its optimal state for learning or creativity or memorization. So working in chunks of time is critical. The other thing is eliminating distractions, which means turning off the phone, not putting it on vibrate, but like turning it off or putting it in another room. Turning off any sort of dinging or flashing things on the computer so that you're not getting notifications. Another way to get yourself into the flow state or to facilitate getting into the flow state is to create boundaries. So time is a boundary. If you know that you're going to be working for 30 minutes, it's easier for you to say, okay, I'm going to focus on this for right now. And it allows you to kind of let go of intruding thoughts, but also creating boundaries by letting your team know that, hey, for the next 20 minutes, I'm meditating. Or for the next 30 minutes, I'm working on this project. Don't call me. Don't walk in. Don't ask me stuff. I'm focused. Having a boundary like that psychologically and mentally allows you to relax and not have to feel like, ooh, I'm wondering if someone's going to come in, is someone going to interrupt me? So that you allow yourself to really get into the zone with what you're working on. And, this new research that we're doing with doing the mind mirror, which is this EEG terminal that we put onto the head to measure brain waves. One of the things that we know about getting into the flow state is that you have synchrony between parts of the brain that are not usually working together when you're just in kind of your daily lollygagging. And so if you can get your brain in synced up, you're going to have access to parts of the brain that lead to creativity and insight and better memory. And so getting into the flow state is critical for maximizing your productivity. So identify what your flow triggers are and make sure that you're building that into your day and your week. Now for me, the one that I will add is making sure that you do something that you love, that lights you up. It could be that is music. For me, to get into a flow state, music does it. So when I'm walking the dog or cooking or going out for a run, I can put in music that gets me into the flow state. And the more that you're in a flow state, you can think of it as building up psychological capital. And that's what really leads to resilience. Building up psychological capital, it's the positive coins in your mental bank. Being in the flow state adds to that positivity so that you become more resilient, so that when things hit you, they don't stick. They just roll off. They don't knock you down. You get back up and you keep moving forward. So adding in flow to your life is crucial if you want to be more productive. And so when it comes down to the moment of how do you schedule and structure your day, I don't think it's one size fits all. You definitely need to know your energy and your body's energy. If you haven't taken it already, take the vitality test. Go to thevitalitytest.com and take this free questionnaire. It's created by the beautiful Nick Haynes of the 5 Institute, and it will tell you which of the 5 Chinese elements are your dominant influences. Because the energy of water is very different than the energy of wood and fire and metal and earth. And if you know which is your dominant energies and how they change during a day, that can help you figure out when to schedule what you need to schedule. And so the first thing you want to do when it comes to looking at your schedule is put in place everything you need to thrive and flourish. Put that in first, not other obligations, you first. In my case, from 5 a.m. to 9 a.m., I have scheduled Andrea time, period. Not the kid, not the dog, not anybody's social media, is Dre time. And that allows me to wake up and do meditation, yoga, chanting, qigong. 8-ish is when I'll venture out and go for my run along the beach and up to the old town. It also allows me time for journaling and creativity, because in meditation, or if I've been out on a run, I'll get ideas. I need to be able to have the time where I'm not worried about who's going to come in or what do I have to do next. I need the time to capture those ideas and put them down on paper so they're not floating around in my head, causing more anxiety. So make sure that you schedule the time for the things that will help you thrive and flourish. And by that I mean meditation and movement have got to be there. Like, what are you doing on your meditation? Is it 8 minutes in the morning? I mean, you don't have to do hours like I do, but you need to find your magic number. Is it 5? Is it 8? Is it 12? Is it 20? You've got to include meditation so that you can tune into your own subconscious mind, the divine mind, the creativity and the intuition that you need that's going to keep you moving forward, to get that sense of peace and clarity that's ultimately what we all need in order to flourish. And movement. We have these beautiful articulating joints for a reason. You are meant to move that body. And so even if it's just gentle walking, you need to program that in multiple times in a week. And then you protect that time. You do not give that time away. It is for you. I find that when I am so filled up after my Drea time, I am free to give to other people. I haven't been drained by seeing what's going on in the news or social media. And then when I'm meeting with clients or I'm giving an interview, I am full. I am ready. I feel fulfilled because my needs are met. And it's not selfish, particularly if you're getting up before everyone else does. And so if you have this excuse that you don't have time, then you need to get up a little bit earlier, even if it's only 10 minutes early, so that you have 2 minutes to do the potty break, and then you spend 8 minutes in meditation. I'll give you the link to our morning meditation and evening meditation. They're just 8 minutes, and they will get you into the brain state that you need to get to this flowing fulfillment. All right? So I hope that this has been helpful and supporting you in your journey to really getting out of that sense of comparison into self-reliance, and out of this analysis paralysis into like realistic, doing the best in the moment, letting go of perfectionism and just setting standards that are based on you advancing to become the best you possible. So if you have questions, feel free to shoot me an email or leave a comment below this video. And there's so much more I could share, but I'll save that for other videos.